we're dealing with a very interesting topic, most definitely controversial. Why the Bible is not in chronological order. This is deception. To deceive. I'm telling you just straight up, to deceive. To deceive. Because whenever it was written, see, that shows you the premise, you see, of the book. If Job is the oldest, now they saying that the Old Testament, that Job is the oldest book, then that means that the other books didn't have no influence on Job. So, but what is the narrative of Job? You know, what is Job about? You know, what is Job about? Does the book of Job mention any other prophets or anything of that nature? Is Job, I mean, this is ridiculous because they start with Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus, Numbers, and all of that. And that's not how the book, but you know what? Let's see what AI say. Why is Job the oldest book? Yeah, let's see what it said, because I want to see what it said. Yeah, let's see what it said. Why Job is the oldest book. See, Job preserved the oldest literary layer in the Hebrew Bible. You know what? They don't have no answer. No, I don't even believe that. I don't even believe that now. That's what they say. I don't believe it. I don't believe that either. I don't believe Job. They saying Job, and it don't make no sense. And it don't make, even if it is. I mean, the oldest the oldest book is the Dead Sea Scrolls, regardless. So they ain't got no Job no older than any of the other books. They ain't got no Job no older than any of the other books. But this is what they saying. So, I don't have no faith in that at all. But even just to show you, that is not in chronological order. So this is very critical. And I'm going to tell you why it's critical. Because in Genesis, it got all the how the world came to be, and it's proven, according to scholarship, that Genesis is long after Moses, even long after Moses. So when people go in there acting like, that this is the origin of humanity, this is the origin of nations, you say, do I believe in aliens? I don't know more than I believe in the Bible. If I see one, I believe. If I see one, I believe. See, as they say, seeing is believing. You see, seeing is believing. So if I see an alien, then I believe in one. Have you seen an alien? But, yeah. Well, Keith, if you seen it, I'm glad for you. I'm glad for you. It ain't doing nothing for us down here, I can tell you that. It ain't doing nothing for us down here, I could tell you that. If you seen the machine, then you should tell them to come on down here and help us get this Neanderthal off our back. Other than that, they could stay the hell on up there and do what they do. You see what I'm saying? They ain't doing nothing for us down here. But anyway, and so this destroys the narrative that the Bible is the oldest history of humanity. It has taken Egypt, Ethiopia, Arabia, and said, oh, these characters are the founders of these civilizations, shortening these civilizations by tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. This is very critical. And see, you have to be a student of the Bible. You can't just be no damn believer. That's what Dr. Ben said. What good is it being and you don't know the history of your religion, how it came to be? You just a damn believer. You just dive straight on in. You don't damn do no research on the book. And I'm talking about within the confines of Christianity, because you can get this information in the confines of Christianity. You don't have to go outside of Christianity, but a lot of people don't want to wake up. Yeah, Black Power. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look at you. Who is that? Days. Let me go. Days. You better go and sit on down. This gonna be days. What's that? What's that? Days off. Days off. You better chill out. This gonna be your last day. Your name gonna be last days. You understand what I'm saying? This gonna be your last day right here. We got all the holy rollers in here today. Yeah, we got all the holy rollers in there. But why don't y'all call God up and get him in the conversation? Ask God, we can ask God. We ain't got to ask AI. We can ask God himself. Get him on in here. We'll give him a pass right now. Call him up. God, where you at, God? God, you hear me? Where you at, God? Come on in. We're going to get you on right now. We're going to get you on live. Ain't no reason. God, where you at? You hear me up there? God up there, man. He up there in one of them big ass mansions. He ain't trying to hear y'all down there. They say in my father's house is many mansions. God up there in the mansion somewhere chilling. He ain't worried about y'all. But we want to know why the Bible is not in chronological order. Let's look at this. Let's get up here. And a lot of people, and again, they don't know that all of Paul's books in the New Testament what's good, family? All the Paul's books in the New Testament are the oldest. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what the hell was the 12 apostles, what they was doing? The disciples, what was they doing? Make that make sense. If this man is God, you supposed to been writing, every little thought that came to your head, you supposed to been writing that down. This is God. This is the Son of God. And how did they let Paul, who never even seen Jesus? Paul came after Jesus was crucified, and Paul got the oldest books in the New Testament. And Paul was a murderer of Christians. He was Saul of Tarsus. He was a murderer of Christians. He was leading lynch mobs to lynch Christians. And then when they was about to get on him, they was about to knock Saul of Tarsus off. He miraculously say he seen Jesus on the road to Damascus. That Jesus, a murderer, Jesus gonna come to a murderer of Christians. This is crazy now. This is crazy now. I don't understand that. Why would Jesus, God, come to the murderer of Christians to not only deliver a message, but literally take over the New Testament? Y'all ain't Christians, y'all Paulinites. Let's just deal with that. Because Paul got more influence on the New Testament and Christianity than even Jesus. That's facts. He got more influence over Christianity and Christians than even Jesus. St. Paul. Y'all not Christians, y'all Paulinites. Let's talk about that. So if you went to the Bible and the Gospels was actually and it opened up with Paul, it wouldn't have the same punch. It wouldn't have the same punch. If you open up the Old Testament and it started with Job and the song of Deborah and all of that, wouldn't have the same punch. And so it probably wouldn't get off so that just lets you know that they didn't wrote and blended it together to make it look like, one book is leading to the other. No, they have created this book. They have edited not only they ain't edited nothing. They wrote it for the first time to blend all these little stories together to make it one book. And a lot of people don't know that it wasn't one book under one cover until Constantine. So that's very critical. That's very critical. Because I was thinking about the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I'm thinking to myself, how did the same amount of books, because they had to vote on them books at the Council of Nicaea. Before that, there was no books under one cover. So how is it that the books that Constantine codified is it in the Dead Sea Scrolls? And they supposed to be Jews. They wouldn't have had codified the book. They never codified the book and put it under one cover. So now all of a sudden, the Dead Sea Scrolls got the same number of books that was codified under Constantine. Something up with all that. Something up with all that. So we're going to continue to do our research on this. Why the book is not in chronological order. And it may never been in chronological order because the books were all written at one time. They created these stories at one and blended them together. So family, there it is. Take it or leave it. I appreciate y'all. Come on, Black. I know y'all. Come on, Black. Come on, Black. I know you finding something here that you want to do some research on, and that's good. I'll see y'all in a minute. Black Power.